Good evening, good afternoon, or we are back, and it is the Saturday Woo Woo Switcheroo.
So wait a minute. So this would be wild, weird, werewolf weekend switcheroo woo woo. Is that right? Is that what you're trying to tell me, Purple Valkyrie?
Well put, exactly. Guys, as you know, usually this would be on Salty's channel, but Salty on Wednesday stepped up. He was my hero. He took the Wednesday show, and honestly, I couldn't thank him enough. He did an incredible job, so thank you. Thank you,
I
Salty.
I almost started singing a Brian Adams song when you said I was your hero. Everything I do it for you.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
That's amazing. But seriously, guys, and thank you all for joining on Wednesday. I rewatched the show. Clowns. Kind of glad I skipped it because you know how I feel about clowns, but what an amazing woo woo show. So thank
Speak
you.
Speaking of clowns, we've got a request from the chat.
Uh-huh.
One Nosferatu the vampire in particular wants me to show him my feet, and no, I am not. I am not on the House of Dragons, and that, my friend, is on my OnlyFans page for VIPs only. So shell up the $200 a month, and you get to see all you could hope to see, my friend.
Bargain. Speaking of the chat, let's say hey to everybody. So we have got Ascension Dodo. Great to see you. You're not wrong about Brexit. Daniel, hello, Daniel. Good evening. We've got our favourite vampire, Nosferatu. We have got the man himself, Zax. Great to see you. Who else? We've got TZ Burton. Hello. We've got the lovely Smile a While for me. Great to see you. She says, glad you're back with us. I am.
Sarah Smile. Nope, baby. And yes, I am an ankle showing harlot sentient dildo.
just the ankle though. We've got Mr. Butt, so great to see you. Looks like you guys are having fun with the poll as well. We'll get to that in just a little bit.
Oh,
We've got
ladies,
Jacob
we're
Ironside. Hey
having
there.
fun. Have fun with that poll all you want. Sorry, go
Hey.
ahead.
This is going to be a really silly show, guys. It really is. We've got DJ Ronnie G. Great to see you, as always. And is there anybody I've missed? I do not think so. But Daniel says, Papa owns that creepy doll. I hope she doesn't have any clown paraphernalia. I do not. There are no clowns that pass within these walls.
No, the only clowns you have are your prime ministers. And we're gonna get into a little bit of that with the opening article, but the one you got now, I'm pretty sure his sphincter is so wide that Klaus Schwab has both arms up him. That's all I'm gonna say. So yeah,
It was a good day for them when he took power, indeed. And Smile a While for me says, I always appreciate my serenades from Salty. That's a good
whoa,
pun.
here she comes. Look out, boy, she'll chew you up.
Great
She's
to
a
see everybody.
man eater.
So, since Salty mentioned it, I will jump into the first thing that we are going to cover today. And as you guys know, it is the 5th of November. It is Bonfire Night, and for the past, it seems, 2 weeks, we've had fireworks go off, and they've been going off all day today. So if you hear pops, bangs, or whistles in the background, I'm not under attack. It's just fireworks because
No, you guys are big on your knives over there. You guys are big on the stabby stab.
Tonight it's just bang bang shriek pop. Yes, is going off. And hello to Silverlock. Great to see you. Good evening. So, a little bit of background for anybody who isn't familiar with Guy Fawkes. It is obviously celebrated on the 5th of November, and it is commemorating, in theory, the failure of the Gunpowder Plot of 1605. Now, the Gunpowder Plot was led by Robert Catesby. They were zealous Roman Catholics who were pretty pissed off with King James I for refusing to grant more religious tolerance to Catholics.
Mhm.
To express their displeasure, they decided that the best thing to do would be to blow up Parliament with the king and everybody. With them all in session.
In
Fortunately or unfortunately, it didn't happen.
in truth, if I'm
Mm-hmm.
being perfectly honest, Purple,
Mm-hmm.
I can say that I perhaps, to a great degree, can identify with their frustration. And boy, I can't say anything else, otherwise I'll get arrested, will I? You all know what I'm thinking, though, but I'm just not going to say it. Sorry. Yes, remember the 5th of November.
Yes, indeed. The very, very famous rhyme, and there's actually several versions. So the one that is the most well known is, as Salty said, "Remember, remember the 5th of November, gunpowder treason and plot. I know of no reason why the gunpowder treason should ever be forgot." And there is actually more, so it really goes on. Guy Fawkes, 'twas his intent to blow up the king and parliament, 60 barrels of powder below, poor old England to overthrow. By God's providence he was catched, with dark lantern and burning match. Holla boys, let the bells ring. Holla boys, God save the king. And what shall we do with him? Burn him.
And they did.
And they
And
did.
they did.
Eventually, I will say, there were other things much more unpleasant that they did to him before they
Mhm.
got round to finally taking poor old Guy Fawkes out. But Guy Fawkes is who is remembered, even though he was really just the guy there to light the match. He got caught and yeah, that's what he was remembered for. So let me bring in this first article that I wanted to talk about. You guys recognize this mask. It is synonymous now with Guy Fawkes and with November the 5th. But if you recognize it, you'll know it is actually from V for Vendetta. So it says, why isn't the most British of masks in the most British of museums? The
Hashtag too white. Hashtag too
I-
white.
I actually really would like a nice replica of this mask to put up on the wall because I'm a big fan of masks, but that's beside the point. So it says the iconic Guy Fawkes mask is everywhere. It is, except where you might expect to find it.
Wow. It's like a plot in the Rings of Power.
Plot, characters that you like, a coherent story. Yeah. It's So it goes on to say, with bulging eyes, long black braids, and an unnervingly large grin. Supre, lord of underground mines and other dark spaces, leers at visitors from his spot beside other art from Bolivia. Just downstairs, a geometrically patterned face, sporting 3 horns, adorned with monkey fur, stares blankly across the room, crowded with other Congolese artifacts. Steps away, exquisite Torres Strait shark masks. I'd love to see that. Made of tortoiseshell. Looks like it could come alive on its display. The British Museum has over 3,100 masks in its collection, of which only a fraction are on display. But one thoroughly British mask, perhaps the most British mask of all, is curiously missing.
That's because the World Economic Fund doesn't like that type of messaging.
Hmm.
Hello.
Yes, you are not wrong, and I think you've hit the nail on the head with that. So it says, though its use in pop culture and protest, there's the key word, the Guy Fawkes mask has become a global anti-establishment symbol. It's been cleverly co-opted by hacking activists Anonymous, which most people know, and the sprawling Occupy movement, of which there's actually a march today, if I remember correctly, which isn't being covered, would you imagine?
Yeah, neither are the things in the Netherlands involving the farmers. Neither are
Hmm.
things going on in Canada. But I can guarantee you they're covering a bunch of morons that are blocking the interstates in Seattle and Portland over probably Congolese women's reproductive rights, But screw our democracy. Screw capitalism.
And DJ Ronnie G is absolutely right. Everyone loves V for Vendetta, yet many of the same people were in favour of the establishment narrative during the past couple of years.
Yeah.
Funny how that flips over. Yes.
Yeah, the interesting thing, and the more that I think about it, and this is just my opinion, I really think the media has existed probably since since Obama's first term, really to convince us that there's a lot more people who are on board with what's going on than there really are. Um,
Hmm.
I I believe that there are some deep blue states and some deep blue cities where there are people who are, regardless, will just believe whatever comes out of any orifice on Rachel Maddow, or any of those other people. And there's nothing you can do about it. There's really
Hmm.
nothing you can do about it. But I don't think that it is nearly as much as we think it is. I mean, I think we're talking maybe 10% of the country actually believes this. And the media exists, much like in the UK and in Europe, to convince us all that we are in the minority and shouldn't speak up because everybody else is on board with starving to death, freezing to death, and
Hmm.
not being able to buy a house. You
It
know?
is. The way I think of it, it's very much like Twitter as well. How Twitter was just a couple of weeks ago, where you have this very vocal minority that convinces everybody that
Yeah.
they're the ones that are in the right because they shout the loudest.
Yeah.
And Nosferatu says, "Purple, have you seen Children of Men? Brilliant
Mhm.
post-apocalyptic movie." Yes, I have. It is a great film.
Yeah,
Need to rewatch it actually.
I know, and the other thing is be sure to get your boosters to make that happen. Be sure to get all of them.
All
Maybe
of
get
them.
them
Yes.
2 or 3 times.
Yes.
So, if you have a cardiac event and survive it, at least you can't have children. I wanna say hello to Teresa. Ms. Martin Muses is in the chat. I also wanna say that Daniel is correct. Anonymous and Occupy are co-opted. Fools is
Mhm.
a way to say it, but they are co-opted. So, yeah.
Yes, and hail to Ronan Racketeur, great to see you. And he says, in regards to the poem, Mogwai, Gizmo from the Gremlins, that would be a great pet, actually. I like that.
Wow. Wow.
That's a
How's
really
how
good pick.
I know when you're done with this article, we have to check in on that because I wanna see what my boy,
Yes.
if any, how many people got my boy Bigfoot checked.
I'm glad you guys are enjoying it. So let me just finish up on this. So it says, through its use in pop culture and protest. Where did I get to? Oh, yeah. It's been cleverly co opted. I've completely lost what I am.
Just go to the next paragraph and pretend none of that happened. It'll be
Yeah,
fine.
I completely lost it. There we go. Okay, so, but the Guy Fawkes mask is quintessentially a British creation. It's a stylized likeness of the most famous conspirator in the failed gunpowder plot of November 1605, the ill-planned effort to blow up the House of Lords, and the assassination of King James I, had the ultimate goal of restoring a Catholic monarchy to England. After the gunpowder plot failed, Fawkes was tried for treason, found guilty, and sentenced to be executed. It does say that although some historical accounts suggest he actually fell or jumped from the
Mhm.
gallows to escape the hangman's noose, uh, yeah, there's a few theories
They
about
missed
what
a
actually
couple
happened. Yeah.
steps.
Hmm.
Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, yeah. Given what was done to him, I don't think he was running or jumping anywhere, to be honest. He could barely move by the time they'd finished with him. I think he had to be carried to the scaffold, if I remember correctly. But
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, they were vicious back then, and they still are. But it goes on to say, in the 4th century since, British revellers have been burning Fawkes effigies. Uh, if you guys want to find out what this year's effigy was, go check it out.
Oh,
Every
we're not
year.
gonna show it? Are we not gonna show it? Can I put the
No,
link in
because
chat?
I will get cancelled. I will get
Oh, okay.
absolutely cancelled
Can
for that
can
one.
you put it in the private chat and I'll post it on Twitter for people?
I can. I will put it in the
And
private chat so you guys can
there's
check it out.
there's a you know me, guys. There's a reason why I want you to see what they've done because it perfectly encapsulates European politics and exactly what is going on in the world today. Sorry, Purple,
Hmm.
go ahead.
No, you're absolutely correct, and it always makes me smile. And this is a recurring thing that they do every year. They choose somebody, let's say, not within public favour, to be the effigy. So I'll leave it up to you guys to figure out who it was this year. But
Send me the link. Send me the link. Send me the link.
I will as soon as I pull it up.
Send me the link. Do you want me to vamp while you pull it up?
Sure. All right.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting because Guy Fawkes, as an American, we all know V for Vendetta. I remember reading the graphic novel when it first came out. It was an amazing work.
Mhm.
And it was interesting as someone, obviously a Yank, an American, we saw in a lot of British pop culture stuff, this eventually the UK would turn into this fascist state. And I don't know where that comes from, but you saw it with like Pink Floyd. A lot of the music in Pink Floyd, also V for Vendetta, and then there was also Look at Children of Men, and it just seemed like invariably they like I don't know what it was, if they were projecting this or what it was. And in chat, tell me if you guys agree with this, but it just seemed like, oh, by the way, the UK is invariably going to end up to be like the Fourth Reich for some reason. And it's like, what do you think that's about, Purple Valkyrie? I mean, is there some reason for that we as Americans either don't understand or are ignorant of?
I think it's to do with the whole rising up against tyranny. It seems, or it used to be, very strong within the British people. It was very much you stand for king and country. If you didn't stand for the monarchy, you stood for the parliament. You stood for people who you thought had your best interest at heart. And now a lot of people are much more disillusioned by that. So I think that's why the whole idea of being so easy to slip into a police state or a state that's being controlled, and just to have your rights and freedoms eroded. You see it in not just in V for Vendetta, but 1984, and all these other sorts of predicted stories that have sadly rung true.
And yes, Chad, if you are on Twitter, I posted the link out there. It just go to, Salty Texas Sea on Twitter and look at the article, and you will see the lovely and perfectly timely and accurate effigy that was burned for Guy Fawkes Day.
And that is this year's, yes. And bearing in mind, they do that every year. So where did we get to? Let me finish. So yes, for centuries, they've been burning the effigy, accompanied by the chants, remember the 5th of November. But today, the mask is based off the comics, as Salty correctly said, by David Lloyd. It is a rendition from the 1980s graphic novel V for Vendetta. The mask, with its curving, vaguely villainous mustache, rosy cheeks, and Cheshire Cat's smile, conveys a almost sinister confidence. Perhaps one reason it's been so warmly embraced by protesters.
Sorry, I was just remembering being in Seattle when they were protesting things and setting everything on fire, and that was like back in 2010 or whatever. And it's like, you don't. That's the thing, is we haven't seen a lot of those masks during the recently peaceful but fiery ones. Yeah, I guess they're just, those masks are #too white.
Yes, that's got to be. Yes, it's too problematic to wear that mask, apparently.
Yeah, and Dempsey, you're not wrong. Demolition Man is more of a documentary than a movie at this point. You are not wrong.
And let me say hey to Grandfall. How are you doing? Said, I want a phoenix as a pet. Never be cold. Great choice. Warm
Good.
welcome to you. But,
And interestingly, in J.K. Rowling's universe,
yes.
the Dumbledore's phoenix name was Fox. So there we go. It all comes around.
And let me say hey to Wakazishi. Great to see you, Gray. Good morning. Gray had a fantastic show yesterday. Watched it this morning. So well done, guys. Another fantastic film pick.
Yeah, I mean, Gray, I feel bad. I had to go to bed. It's been a long week. I really wanted to talk about it. But if you have not seen the 1985 movie, Lady Hawk, go check it out. If you can get past some of the jarring synthesizer music from Greg Parsons, you will have a really good movie that is action, fantasy, and it's also could be a low-level chick flick. Just putting that out there.
It's a good movie, and it's one that I haven't seen for a while. So great pick. But let me finish this
Oh,
so we can jump on to the next article. So it says the product of British history and culture, the Guy Fawkes mask, might seem like a glaring omission from the British Museum's extensive collection, but John Mack, author of the Masks: Art of Expression, isn't that surprised. Museum curators tend to favour the exotic, says Mack. It's a form of artistic imperialism, really a project of the rigid hierarchy of taste, in quotations, in this rarefied world of collecting artefacts. We like things to be either old, the older the better, or from far away places, the least like Britain as possible.
oh, that explains your non-existent immigration policy.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And I'm reposting the actual picture, guys. Apparently, my link isn't working, and normally I don't do this stuff live because we're busy having a show. But I
That
will
might be
put it
my
up.
fault. I might have messed up the link, but
No, I got it
you
working.
got it.
So
Okay.
yeah.
But while the mask doesn't scream British Museum, on the grounds Mac thinks the case can be made for it to join the collection. Masks are a complex object because they're most always attached to a ritual, dance, or performance. If you looked at the Fawkes mask in relation to Guy Fawkes Night and the bonfires and such, it's absolutely worthy of inclusion. Apparently, someone actually bought one into the museum's object identification service, and the staff had a really good laugh about it, which I think is a bit harsh.
Wow. What's history? Who cares about your history? We all need to be just an analogous glob without gender, without race, without religion, without faith, without gifts, without being unique and individuals. We all just need to fit into a database and consume product. That's all we need to
Mm.
do.
And I kind of agree, just to kind of sum up this article. I think it does actually belong because it is part of Britain, it is part of history, it is part of not only the history that actually exists, but history that is being made. And I think it is definitely a quintessentially British idea and British mask. So I'd be all for being put in there. So it says rather than an oversight or some conspiracy, Packer sees it as a very simple explanation for the lack of a single Guy Fawkes mask. Despite its historical significance, there aren't many notable or collectible Guy Fawkes masks from the last 400 years. So, yeah, if it's not old, they're not going to have it, unfortunately. But I think they're making a mistake, and I think the simple Guy Fawkes mask does have a place in the museum.
I would
And
agree. I'm fighting with that goddamn article instead of being on the show. So that's how dedicated I am to this chat because this fascist Daily Mail article will not let me do what I can normally do to things. Yeah, it will not let me do it.
that's
Sorry.
weird.
Yeah,
That,
hold on.
that
I'm
sounds
going to
about
try.
right, though. Uh,
Yeah, I'm going to
so
try it again.
Dempsey says, I think it belongs as well. I think it does too. I think I would love to. And it's kind of funny that so many people have brought these in as well. And Wakasashi said, history is just his story. Absolutely.
Yes. What about her story or Zur and Z's story or the story of the deer people? You know, the one that started a couple of years ago because idiots on social media didn't have any skills or charisma and they needed to invented reasons to be noticed that didn't involve talent or hard work. Well, here we go. You know, what's a 400-year-old part of the history of your country? You know, what difference does it make?
Exactly, yes. It's clearly not that important, even though we celebrate it every single year. And there's still fireworks going off at 11:30 at night because of it. But it's a very strange one. And as I said, officially it's because they failed, but I think most people now celebrate it because they actually tried. That's let me say,
Yeah.
I hated that. That shouldn't be. Great to see you as always.
Yeah. Hey, Matt. Great to see you. Thanks again for your work on the War of the Worlds. Matt, of course, was the stranger at the end that I talked to who wants me to go live in the train tunnels and become a savage with him, and I decide not to. My character decides not to, but that's not to say that some days I don't wake up going, I wish Pearson maybe would have just went into the train tunnels and became a barbarian. But it is what it is.
And let me say hey to Snowdub. Great to see you. And Daniel says, I'm surprised this bonfire night is even allowed by the government and isn't labelled as a terror attack. Indeed, yes. I think if they could stop people from buying fireworks, they probably would. What have you got for us, Salty? Let me bring this in. Let's jump to our next article.
I advertised this because it's so creepy and weird. I wanted to do it. So, as I put on my tweet, for those of you who are on Twitter, this is really, really weird. Just one moment, and because I always have to cough. I don't cough except when I'm alive. One moment, please.
This is cool. And Salty showed me a little bit of this article earlier while we were talking, and
yeah,
this is weird.
Yeah, this is weird, and I don't think it's a Chernobyl thing, although there are Chernobyl things out there, let's be honest about it. So this article is actually from September of this year, and a fisherman just caught this creepy nightmare shark in Australia, and experts are baffled what the hell it is. We'll get into that a little bit, but everybody wants to see the pictures. So there's this fisherman who caught this shark in the deep waters off the coast of New South Wales.
Oh, caught him putting his dentures in. Look at that.
What the hell is this? Look at this. Like, so there we are.
Looks like the alien, but it's that little extra thing pops out.
Yeah. Yeah. If there's a second jaw, just shoot it up with a shotgun and burn it with fire. So yeah, a fisherman caught this and pulled it out of the ocean and noticed its bulging eyes and human-like smile.
I don't know many humans that smile like that. I think he's hanging around the wrong sort of people.
Yeah. So this guy, he was deep sea angling, and he posted it on Facebook and said it was a deep sea rough skin shark, and it was reeled in from 650 meters deep, or 2,132 feet deep water off the coast of Australia. Now we've seen the picture. Mm-hmm. Now, obviously the dude puts it on Facebook, so you're going to get, Facebook commentary. But debates are raging between different people that are shark experts. And some suggest it might be a goblin shark, but others say it might be a cookie cutter shark. Now, I knew about the goblin shark, but I didn't know what the hell.
Name.
Look at this. This is a cookie cutter shark. How the hell is this a shark? I mean, I can't see chat right now, but look at this. What is this? I mean, in this damn thing is only 16 to 22 inches long. You can call yourself a shark, but if you're smaller than sandwiches I've been known to eat, I'm not taking you seriously. So I'm pretty sure it's not a cookie cutter shark. All right. It's totally not a cookie cutter, said the fisherman. It's a rough skinned shark, also known as a species of endeavor dog shark. These sharks are commonly at depths at 600 meters. They catch them in wintertime. But this shark species may be something Latin, which I'm not going to try and attempt, a type of gulper shark. So they have a look at this. This is what they're saying it potentially could be, but okay, that looks like a really ugly dog. You know what I mean?
That shark is regretting his life choices at this time.
That shark, whatever, that looks like a very, very inbred chihuahua. You know what I'm saying? That's what that does. So this is a kite fin shark. It's not the same. It's ugly as hell, though. Look at this.
And we've talked about the deep sea before, and even Daniel says it sounds like we need to drop some nukes at the sea bottom to wipe out whatever's down there. And we've talked about this in the past, how little we actually know about the deep sea because we just haven't explored it because we can't get down there.
Yeah. I mean, and even this researcher said, quote, "We discover new species of deep water sharks all the time, and many look very similar to one another." So there we go. And then there's an annoying ad. Now there's somebody from the New Zealand National Institute of Water and Atmospheric Research, specializes in deep sea sharks, said it's a gulper shark. And I don't know about this, but quote, in the past, gulper sharks were targeted by fisheries for their liver oil in New South Wales. In that this gulper shark is very sensitive to overexploitation from fishing. Some species are now highly threatened and protected in Australia. I don't know about this. I don't know about this. There's a gulper shark, 3 feet long.
It looks almost cute. That doesn't
Yeah.
look too horrific, too nightmare-inducing.
I mean, if it bit you on the ass, you probably wouldn't like it so much, but it's 3 feet long, you know? I mean, I'll take my chances.
I can take that, yeah. I'm still bigger than it.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's some type of gulper shark, which, 3 feet long, 2,000 feet below the surface of Australia. I've said it many, many times, Purple Valkyrie, but it really does seem that everything in Australia is trying to kill you. And but the people are pretty cool. I'm gonna say that. So here we are. We'll take one more look at our smiling friend. Wouldn't you like a Christmas? Who wants a Christmas ornament like this? I think this would be a hell of a thing to have as a Christmas ornament.
It kind of looks like a puppet, like you'd put your hand, like a hand puppet.
Yeah. If Snowdub is still there, we need to make Floral from Under a Rock make us a crazy shark puppet like that. But there you go. There's your nightmare shark from 2,100 feet below the surface of Australia. Yeah.
Oh, that's insane. DJ Ronnie G said, I'd love to pet one of those. Let me say hello to Leia Rose. Good to see you, honey. Nosferatu says, Alaskan salmon sharks rule.
Yeah. Yeah, baby.
TC Burton, you need a yellow submarine to go down and see it.
I know, but I'm not digging up George Harrison. I'm not going to go down with like the surviving Beatles in that thing. It would be weird. It'd be really. And did anybody get that?
I get
Never
that.
mind. All right. Okay.
And Zach's gulper sharks are known to swallow. Indeed.
I'm not going to ask how you know that, Kyle. I'm just going to say what I always say, which is stop sending me pictures of you doing things like that. That's all I'm going to say. So,
what have we got next, Salty?
Well, this is one of my favorite topics because I think it is a radically under-discussed, under-researched phenomena, and that is how often our planet has been hit by not just little pissant asteroids and meteorites, but by sizable civilization or epoch-changing giant asteroids. Now, in this situation, we're talking about the islands that are actually on the Great Lakes that are actually chunks of a gigantic asteroid that slammed into North America and Canada 450 million years ago. Now, if there's Canadians in chat that are sounding off, in particular our friend Kyle, I'd love, please interrupt me, Purple. But these are off Lake Superior, and they are called the Slate Islands, and they are the world's largest shatter cone from an impact. Evidence of an explosive event, as I mentioned, nearly 500 million years ago. Yeah, it's beautiful up there. I'm sure now it's under like 18 feet of snow. But these are the calm waters of the McGreevy Harbor on the Slate Islands. But this is a violent meteor strike again, and it formed an archipelago.
Does that also explain why Lake Superior is so incredibly deep? Because we've talked about this in the past as well, in regards to shipwrecks.
There's that. I don't want to comment on that and sound like an idiot, but I think that is a huge part of it.
Possible, yeah.
And here's the thing that we're noticing is that particular asteroid explosion, which was sizable in impact, was 450 million years ago. The one I continually reference, and which is supported by exhaustive research looking at the Iceland and Greenland ice core samples discussed by Graham Hancock and, oh God, what's his name? I can never remember his name. Joe Rogan Experience. Randall Carlson. Randall Carlson. Yeah. So Randall Carlson, please, when you guys are done watching this, go watch Joe Rogan and Randall Carlson talk about this shit, because it's not just crazy woo-woo. It's actually supported by scientific data and research. That asteroid hit just shy of 12,000 years ago and caused in a near instantaneous on a geological scale melting of the 2-mile thick ice sheets of the Ice Age over North America. It was about a month when all of those trillions of gallons of water all melted and proceeded to flood through the northwest and southwest of the United States and drain out into the Gulf of Mexico. These islands in particular, they are called the Slate Islands. They are a conifer-studded rocky island, and it sits in northern Lake Superior, about 8 miles from Torrance Bay, Ontario. Don't you know? Get you some poutine, eh? The islands are a provincial park, and they have sheltered inlets, stunning night skies. The archipelago also attracts scientists. Lake Superior is the coldest, as Purple mentioned, and deepest inland sea in the entire Western Hemisphere. And the Slate Islands' particular microclimate supports plants and animals, including caribou, typically seen only in the Arctic. Now, the island's geology is even more significant. The archipelago marks the center of an ancient crater, the remnants of a violent event from 450 million years ago. Now, on the shore of Patterson Island, the largest of the archipelago, a 30-foot cone of rock sits with its foot at the shoreline and its tip pointed toward the sky. That's because it is the edge of a shatter cone, and that is a formation characteristic of a meteorite impact. And this is the largest one ever discovered. The damn thing is 500 million years old, and it is still the largest they've ever discovered. Imagine the size of this before erosion, before a whole lot of other things happened, how different the planet looked 500 million years ago. But
we have a quick question from Lost Variety. It says, Salty, do you listen to Dan Carlin's Hardcore History?
I have listened to some. I need to check that out. I'm actually going to be taking a long drive soon, so I will have to check that out. If there's one episode in particular you think that you want me to listen to, please, I will bookmark it and listen to it.
And Dempsey says, luckily enough, Jupiter eats up most of the things that come through our solar system. It's a bit of a gravitational bully, yes.
And it also can attract things, though. Usually it eats them up, but sometimes it doesn't. Sorry, go ahead, Purple.
I was just saying, we were also very lucky in that we have our own moon, which takes quite a few hits for us.
Yeah, that is until the Chinese start mining helium-3 for their giant fusion reactor and then blow up the moon, just like H.G. Wells predicted in The Time Machine. I'm only half kidding. I'm not even actually really kidding at all. That's what those dipshits are going to do next, because they're the smart people. Remember, we're all just useless eaters, and there's too many of us, but they're the smart ones.
That shouldn't be, says, of the known impact craters, over 200, around 40 have impact radii of 20 kilometers or more.
It's true. And you can see these fantastic pictures. I mean, from, I forget the name of the actual impact, but if you look at the Yucatan Peninsula, there's a couple of giant ones in Western United States. I believe there's a couple in China and Africa as well. But these damn things are huge. And again, given all the time that has elapsed, the hundreds of millions of years, what did these damn things look like before erosion in time and wind and water wore them down? It must have just been the most horrifying event you could have ever imagined. I mean, that's why so many cultures have stories about the flood. I mean, because I grew up in a Judeo-Christian country, I identify with the flood stories from the Bible, but they're also throughout virtually every religious and culture out there, whether it's Islam, they're in China, in Japan, the Aboriginals of Australia, you see it in South American cultures, in African cultures. They all talk about the great floods that have happened. And you cannot have an impact of these sizes without it causing actual significant climate change, unlike nitrogen, carbon dioxide, and cows.
And we talked about it as well. This great flood idea is in almost ingrained in us as a species. We have a collective memory of it.
Yeah, that's part of that epigenetic trauma that
Mhm,
is a theory that I hold on to, but I really
mhm.
do believe it, and I think it's pretty hard to disprove. But yeah, Wakazashi's tea house, great. You're not wrong. When they bombed the moon, it rang like a bell. It wasn't Armstrong. It was another astronaut that said they were doing things, and I believe they set off an explosive on the moon. And when they did, it rang like it was hollow and metallic. Don't believe me. Go look that up. The moon rings.
Yes.
It's true.
Yes, and I would kind of, I've heard that, and I would kind of agree with Wakazashi and said, how did they know it rang? Because the sound doesn't travel in a vacuum, but it's, it's, I've heard that many times, that
Hmm.
story.
Well, vibration can be transmitted, and when you're in a metal spacecraft, if you look at the Apollo lander from the lunar missions, my guess is that there was a reverberation it carried through the metal. Do you know what I mean? As opposed to a
Hmm.
gong or a bell ringing thing.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
that's what I'm guessing. If you've ever stood too close to church bells or been in a church underneath them when they rang them, you know you have the force of the sound, but you also have the waves of that causes. I know air needs to be there, but there's something else that occurs there. You know,
Yes.
and there's actually audio of that astronaut talking about it. So go check that out. The moon rings. This is not some moron in his basement. This is an actual astronaut that reported this. Is your silence my cue to go back to reading this article? I will take it as such.
It
So
is.
now we've got geologists kind of jumping in. Both scientists, so there's a couple of scientists that are talking about Lake Superior geology. Both scientists admits they're not sure what the towering rock formation on Patterson Island is. One thinks it's a shatter cone. One doesn't think it is, because that's what scientists do, is they fight, unless it's about the coof. And then there's only one opinion. But normally scientists disagree, and that's pretty much all they do is they be difficult. So the first geologic maps of the Slate Islands were published in 1901, so over 120 years ago. At the time, scientists knew that some type of violent event had happened there. The incredible force had warped and melted the rocks. There are no volcanoes in that part of the world. Ask Zax. So, what other geological force can warp and melt other stones? That would be the tremendous amount of heat and compression and violence of an asteroidal impact. But, you know, they're not going to all agree on that because it's not sponsored by Pfizer. It wasn't until the middle of the 20th century that geophysicists determined similar structures around the world, such as the Sudbury Basin in Ontario, in Arizona's Meteor Crater, that was one of the ones I could remember, were actually the result of meteorite impacts. Not everyone agreed for decades. A volcanoes versus meteor debate simmered among geoscientists. But you know what? Whatever. Look at those rocks. It's
That's true.
melted rock.
And so if I didn't know any better, I'd say that looks like molten rock. Yeah, it looks like
Yeah.
it's flowed.
I mean, look at these things. That isn't what you would call a geological erratic, not a geological erotic, Zach. But yeah, Patterson's Island's 30-foot shatterstone cone towers. Yeah, that's melted rock. It's not from a volcano. There's no volcanoes there. So, shatter cones present at many of these asteroidal impact sites emerged as a key piece of evidence to support the impact hypothesis. The surface of these conical rock formations has a horsetail-like pattern of thin grooves. The lines radiate from the apex of the cone, which points toward the center of the impact. Also important, quartz crystals. Quartz crystals found near the shatter cone have a particular kind of microscopic crack called a planar deformation. This is the same thing that you will find in any asteroidal impact site, along with nanodiamonds, other type of, but these planar formations are unique to meteor impacts. The shockwave pressure required to create these features is intense enough to make artificial diamonds. Those are called nanodiamonds. It occurs when you have a major asteroidal impact. It can also occur with a hot enough nuclear weapon, but not in the same way. So shock waves from the impact also changed the magnetization of surrounding rocks. Imagine the amount of force required to
Mhm.
change the polarity of geology. Okay, that's insane to me. Yeah, they did some research in 1980, and they pulled a a magnet meter. We'll just do that behind a boat in a great pattern over the archipelago's water. They were like this, that, and this is not a meteor site, so that's interesting. But we were like this. Is this or is it not a meteor site? Sorry, we were like, is this or is this not a meteor site? Now they didn't. They said the jury's out. So you know what that means is it looks like probably. They're just not going to say yes, because if it was a no, they would say no. So that's my take on this. Multiple shatter cones at the site weren't pointing toward the crater's center as would be expected. However, that could be because this thing happened 500 million years ago. Now, they're also saying there was no evidence of a crater on Lake Superior's nearby North Shore, so they're not entirely sure what it is, but this is still pretty damn compelling. I don't know. I think this was an asteroidal impact. I really, really do. I don't see how the hell this happened. I grew up in that part of the country, now not on the Canadian side, but real close to Lake Superior. There's nothing volcanic about that area. It had to have been
Mhm.
a meteor impact.
Well,
So
that's it. Once you rule out all other possibilities, that is the one that makes the most sense. And given the location, the geography, and everything that they found, right down to the microscopic diamonds, it does absolutely suggest that that is what happened. And it is curious. It's how many others do we not know about around the world? And let me say hey to Abomination AJ. Good evening.
hey, AJ, good show today. Yeah, this is a fragment of the shatter cone from the Slate Islands, is stored in the archives at the Ontario Geological Survey at Thunder Bay. Yeah, that looks like an explosion to me. But you know what? I don't have a
What a dragon
PhD in
scale.
I don't have a PhD and a vested interest in proving somebody wrong just to be an asshole. So,
That's where we're going wrong, clearly.
yeah, I mean, unless it's Pfizer, then everybody agrees about Pfizer, right? Just the science. Just the
Just
science.
2 weeks. 2 weeks,
Yeah.
guys. Yeah.
Sudden adult death syndrome.
And that shouldn't be bringing the scientists that they can study the crater if they fight shock. If they fight shock quartz, they can determine if they result from impact, volcanic events, or nuclear explosion. They can also look for isotopes of rare earth elements.
Exactly. They didn't talk about any of that. They did talk about the quartz, Matt. It's just that's why some of these articles, they're so strange. Like they get all sciencey in some parts, but they leave out the other stuff, and then they get clever. Now they talked about nanodiamonds without calling them nanodiamonds. And it's like, so what the hell was the point of that article? Was it written by a nitwit or was there an agenda? I don't know. I think it's both these days.
Yes.
You know?
And diamonds, as we know, are produced under pressure and heat. So what's the difference between a nanodiamond, or a, as they were calling it, a fake diamond, and a real diamond, which is produced in exactly the same way?
I don't know. That we should do a show on that. We really,
Yes.
really should. I don't know.
That was a great ask, and I love learning more about Lake Superior, because the more that I learn about it, the weirder that place is.
Yeah, we are going to have to do that Lake Michigan Triangle too. The Great Lakes Triangle, which is the same thing as the Bermuda Triangle, and it has to do with ley lines. It has to do with what's under the water, a whole bunch of other things. But a lot of ships and planes that have disappeared, and not just like in the 19th century. We're talking about recently. No wreckage found, no survivors found. And this is over the freaking Great Lakes. We hear about the Bermuda Triangle all the time, but you don't hear about this or that site in particular. And all credit again goes to David Politis for bringing that up.
Absolutely. And Senta Dildo, you're not wrong. Nanodiamonds are forever. Absolutely. And hello to awesome one. Great to see you, says Salty and Dudes. Good to see you.
What's up, dude? Great to see you.
And Daniel says, Purple Valkyrie, the difference between a real diamond and a man-made diamond is who owns the diamond mines.
Oh,
Very true.
true. Yeah. Yeah. You know what the difference between child slave labor and mining for lithium is? There is none. God, I hate this timeline. I hate
Yes.
this
Can we have a
fucking.
reset, but not a great one, just an
Yeah.
actual
Can we just put them all in
nice.
that giant
Yeah.
spaceship and they can all go out there and live their weird, crazy life that they want to? What do you want to go to next, Purple? You got an article?
I do. I will bring this up just in a moment, but let me grab a couple more because you guys are on fire today. So if that doesn't be said, you want a creepy Great Lakes tale? Listen to Gordon Lightfoot's The Wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald.
Gord's Gold. It's a
Mhm.
double album set on vinyl. Gord's Gold. That's the only way to listen to the Wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald is on vinyl. You have to have that snap and pop and hiss on vinyl with analog speakers. I used to beg my dad for quarters when we'd go to Pizza Hut. And back then in the 70s, you get 3 songs for a quarter. And I swear to God, I would put the Wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald in, and then I would put like some Crosby, Stills and Nash or some CCR in or whatever the hell it was. And then I'd put the Wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald in again because I wanted to hear that damn song all the time.
Great call. And that's something I haven't heard in a long time. So I know what I'll be doing after the show. And also one said, Salty is America's diamond. I couldn't agree more.
Oh, diamonds are forever, forever, forever. That is one of the weakest James Bond movies. Can we just say that? I'm just going to say that. I
Yeah.
love me some Connery. I really do. But they brought him back and it was like, I didn't like that movie. And it was so creepy because it was that weird, sordid, crazy 60s stuff and set in Vegas. Like if they would have set it in Vegas in the early 60s, like when Frank Sinatra was there,
You mean
that would have been a
when the
different
mob
story.
was still in charge? Yeah.
Yes. Yes. It's just, it creeps me out because there were still women who had hair and wore makeup like that when I was a little kid. And that was creepy. Those of you who did not live through that in the early 70s, be very, very grateful. Okay? Just going to say that.
And Dempsey asks, Nano Diamond or Neo Diamonds?
Hands, touching hands, reaching out, reaching. Sweet Caroline. Ba, ba, ba. All right, all you. I'm done.
That's right. I'm probably going to get a copyright claim for that.
Yeah, I sang it.
What
I
for-
sang it. I sang it better than Neil. Yeah. Ba, ba, ba.
You can't help it whenever you hear that song. It's so good. But what have I got next? Oh my god. Okay. You guys know how much I enjoyed the Cabinet of Curiosities last week during the Halloween season, so I decided to do a little bit of a exploration and find out about Cabinets of Curiosities. Now, these were incredibly popular, especially around about the Victorian age, when they just loved kind of curios and weird things and, things that they could put in jars and things that were not really things, but said to be things like Fiji mermaids and unicorn horns. And not gonna lie, I actually kind of want one now to make my own. So we'll see if I can ever make my own Cabinet of Curiosities. But in London, there is the Victor Wind Museum of Curiosities, Fine Arts and Natural History. And
Ooh, this is cool.
this is cool. It is a shop, so you can buy some of these things, and a gallery. It's a modern day Cabinet of Curiosities, unassumingly positioned along a urban thoroughfare. But before I go into the article, let me show you some of these pretty awesome pictures. This thing is adorable. I'm a big fan of taxidermy, so I think that's great. The Naughty Nun, the mind boggles, but I'm sure it's a good read. What else have we got? It's Snortopoopus saying hey. We've got various collection of eggs, which was a big thing, especially in the Victorians. They loved to collect bird eggs, which they really shouldn't do, but they did it anyway. But we've got, I'm guessing these are various mammal skulls. It looks like cats, rats, rodents, dogs, foxes. This was a big thing as well. Guys, if you have ever seen Freaks, It's a 1932 film by Todd Browning, which actually ended his career. You'll know, and if you've ever seen anything to do with P.T. Barnum, how popular freak shows were, especially with circuses, and it kind of translated over to curiosities as well. So anything that was kind of weird and abnormal, especially when it came to humans, that was a big draw. So here we've got a two-headed, I guess you class it as a fetus. But they love these sort of weird things, anything to do with skeletons, anything to do with death, anything to do with the bizarre. They absolutely loved, and this would be an example of what a cabinet of curiosities looked like. It was literally
cool.
a cabinet with weird things in, seashells, fossils, anything that people could collect.
I want a cabinet full of the skulls of my enemies. I do. And they don't even have to be fresh. You know, I'll get like a refrigerated one and just keep their... God, was my mic on for that? I'm sorry.
Salty wants to drink his bourbon out of the skull of his enemies, and I'm all for it.
Oh my God, freaks. I heard you talking about freaks, and now you've started Sentient Dildo. I sat through that. Purple wanted me to watch it because I hadn't watched it. And I was like, this is dark weird. This is dark weird AF. If you haven't seen it, be prepared for something that is... It is next level. It has no light. It's just darkness that leads to more darkness. I'm just gonna say that. But go ahead, Purple.
And you're absolutely right. Nosferatu says Purple would like Ripley's Museum. I've been to a couple of them. I've been to the one in Florida. Big fan. Ronan Racketeau, let me grab this. Said, Purple, did you not go to Ripley's, believe it or not, whilst in Texas? I didn't know we had them. That's pretty cool. I will have to check that out. And Smilewell says we call them curio cabinets here. That is cool.
There's a place south of Madison, Wisconsin called the House on the Rock. And anyone who's probably from the Chicago area or from the Midwest knows about it. They have all these billboards saying, go to the famous House of the Rock. And it has all of this and more. It was a guy who started building a curiosity thing like this on land he didn't own. And it is mind-blowing. Those of you who've been to House of the Rock, please say so in chat. But we need to do a show, Purple Valkyrie, just on the House of the Rock. It's such a crazy, weird place with collections like this that Neil Gaiman, before he was an asshole, included it in my favorite book that he wrote, American Gods, has a site of psychic and magical power in the United States because it had so much weird stuff like this. Okay. Sorry, go ahead. Oh my God, a shrunken head.
That is awesome. Yeah, shrunken heads were a big deal as well. And the one thing that I would like, as I said, would be a Fiji mermaid. If I could get one of those, I think that would be amazing. But yeah, they just loved anything that you could kind of put in. So we've got like a conjoined piglet, and then we're back to the taxidermy. But I just love the idea of these things. I think it's a fascinating kind of throwback to what the Victorians loved, and it's very interesting to know that it's sort of coming back. But yeah, it is in London. If anybody's interested, or if anyone lives around, is the Victor Wind Museum of Curiosities. So it's let's see, the Victor Wind Little Shop of Horrors, or the Last Tuesday Society Shop. That's a mouthful, as it's more generally known. It's a 21st century take on the classic Victorian cabinet of curiosities located in East London. It takes its official name from the Pataphysical Last Tuesday Society Chancellor.
Sorry.
What are you laughing at?
The Pataphysical Last Tuesday Society. It's just...
That's a great band name. Don't knock it.
That's a great album name. Yes. I'll just do covers of Neil Diamond with Nosferatu.
Yes. So it is devoted to exploring further the esoteric, literary and artistic aspects of life in London and beyond. The gallery shop is situated within a small group of commercial premises alongside a arterial road. Is full of taxidermied specimens of all sizes, skeletons under glass, erotica, Okay. Modern art, books, and a myriad of other curios. Sold.
I have questions. I have a question. So the next paragraph says they have quartz dildos.
Yes, yes, indeed. I was kind of sad that there wasn't a picture of one. I mean, there might be a little bit further down, but yeah, it was a big thing. You'd be surprised what they would make dildos out of.
It was a big thing. A big, hard. Never mind. I just want to shout out Smile a while because she says she's been to the House on the Rock, and Daniel knows the House on the Rock billboards because he grew up in that area. Yeah, again, go to the House on the Rock if you're driving through. There are so many. They're fading, but there are so many wonderful roadside attractions. There used to be a lot more of them in the 70s and the 80s. Some of them have closed, like the world famous Waldrov in South Dakota. Of course, there's Sturgis as well. There's a huge green dinosaur also in, I believe, in South Dakota. In Minnesota, there are curiosities. Wisconsin has the House of the Rock.
Yes.
I'm sure that they're all over these places. And of course, all along Route 66, you will find those things as well. They have them in Seattle. They have a curiosity place in Austin, but this one is old school. I mean, this one has some crazy stuff in it. My God.
It does, and I've never actually been to this one in London, but now that I know it exists, next time I go down, I might have to go down there and film some footage for the Woo Woo
Yeah.
show, because this is
Please.
fascinating.
I want a conjoined pig coffee mug. Get me that while you're there too.
Yes. I could have. I won't say what I hope is for sale.
Oh, wait. Quartz dildo? What? Never mind. Oh, oh, I was reading private chat. I'm sorry.
So, as Salty correctly said, it's a step inside and glimpse everything from polar bears to peacocks, quartz dildos to vintage speculums, winged animals to insect sculptures, skulls of all sizes and origins, anatomical anomalies, ladies, and even a couple of mermaids.
Yeah. Be careful walking with that third leg. Do you think that's the polar? Like, do you think they have like a super well endowed peacock or something like that?
If they don't, I'd be disappointed at this point.
I know. Look at sentient dildo. Where's Snowdopupus Q once the polar bear's freed?
So it says the shop's website describes this as an attempt to recreate or reinterpret within 21st century sensibilities a 17th century Wunderkabinet. Although in need of a good dusting, the Last Tuesday Society's Shop of Horrors is curious, horrific, and fascinating in equal measure. I think it sounds amazing, and I really want to go.
Oh my God, they have a bar. Purple, they have
Yes.
a bar.
Yes, they do indeed, yes.
Oh, absinthe. Oh. Wow.
Yes. Very, very curious. So it says the groundwork is now dedicated. It's now a dedicated bar selling the unusual drinks and cocktails, but specializing, as Salty correctly said, in absinthe served in the traditional manner with fountain, spoon, and sugar.
Oh.
There you go.
I do like absinthe. I haven't drank that in almost 20 years. I had a friend of mine. I used to audit some grad classes at George Mason in DC, and they would bring real absinthe back from where they were from, and holy cow,
I've heard it's incredibly strong.
It is incredibly strong. And then we had these awesome hookahs, and we were smoking like the not the deleterious stuff, the actual, the apple flavored tobacco, and filtering it through milk, and listening to like the Doors, because that's what you do when you audit classes in grad school with people, is you drink absinthe and you do that. But yeah.
Recreating the Moulin Rouge. Nice.
I know. Unlike Jim Morrison, though, I did not die in a bathtub. So, God, somebody did today, though. It's really sad. Somebody.
Yes, Aaron Carter.
Wow.
Yes. Yeah. And Scented Dildo says, we are not curiosities. Indeed. Not indeed. But
Mm.
one of your brethren is immortalized in this curio museum. But if anybody would like to know where it is, the closest tube station is Camden Heath. You can get a bus from Old Street, and the closest main line is London Fields. So if
Wow.
anybody would like to explore, and I most certainly would, it's now on my list of places to go. I think it's fascinating. I love it.
I would go there in a second, especially now that I know they have a bar. And the thing is, I probably would never even check into my hotel room, and I would just sneak in after they closed and sleep in the shop, and then wake up and drink in the bar all day. But that's how I roll when I'm on vacation. So
See, I would skip the absinthe because I absolutely hate licorice or aniseed. So I
I
would have to
don't I
skip.
don't mind it with absinthe. I really don't. And awesome one says Billy Joel Salty, "Hey, sing us a song, Mr. Piano Man. Sing us a song for a while." No, that was more like Bruce Springsteen. Who's it?
Yeah, that
Who's
was
the
more Bruce.
uh,
And Smaller Wall for me says, but Rapid City has a
yes,
dinosaur park where you can climb on
yes.
tons of cement dinosaurs.
That's
I'm
what I
all about
remember.
dinosaur parks.
This is true. We found some what were they? Plastic big shell dinosaurs when we were driving across country, and there were a lot of pictures taken with Purple Valkyrie smiling next to the Tyrannosauruses and Plesiosaurs. So yeah, we're big
They
on.
made
She's
they
big on
made me happy.
dinosaurs.
It was
Yeah.
awesome.
Oh my God, your poll is out of control.
Is it? Let me go back and see what you guys are saying. So, I asked, what would you guys prefer to have as a pet? Would you like a werewolf, a Bigfoot, a dinosaur, or something else? And then put it in the chat. And a few of you guys have. But out in front at the moment, with 41%, we have got dinosaur. We've got Salty's favorite Bigfoot, bringing up
Yes.
second. Oh no, in third place. Sorry. And werewolves have just jumped into the second place with 24%. So it's
Wow.
pretty close between Bigfoot and werewolf, but dinosaur is way out in front at the moment.
Well, let me explain my logic to this, because my first instinct was, who the hell wouldn't want a dinosaur, right? Then I began to go, you know what? I don't want to live in like a tropical rainforest. I don't want to live in some place where a large lizard like this would feel comfortable. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? South America or someplace like that. And so I was like, okay. And also, how the hell am I going to feed this thing? And I was like, there are lots of people I would love for dinosaurs to eat. The line is long. Okay. But that would probably get me in trouble. So then I went to werewolf, and I'm like, fuck yeah, who the hell wouldn't want a werewolf, right? Again, the problem there is, would the werewolf actually be your friend, or would you kind of be constantly in fear of this crazy werewolf, right?
Mhm.
And it was like, yeah, I don't think so. And then I, you know what,
More
Bigfoot.
dog soldiers than Twilight, I'm guessing. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so I ended up on Bigfoot, and I was like, okay, I can go for walks in the woods with Bigfoot. And when you're in the woods with Bigfoot, you don't got to worry about anything. You know why? Because he's effing Bigfoot, or he's Bigfoot, right? So whatever lives in those woods, they don't want anything to do with Bigfoot. And I'm like, that's cool, because I like to spend time in the woods. I like to be wandering around in mountains and streams and everything else like that. And the one thing I'm worried about is Bigfoot and aliens, like legitimately, or some type of portal. And it's like, I figure, you know what? Bigfoot could probably get me out of most situations. So that's why I picked Bigfoot, you know?
I think Mr. Butts is right there where he says, doesn't matter how big you are, Bigfoot can still give you a piggyback ride.
Thank you. I am 6'4.5", 6'5", depending on how straight I stand. Yes, ladies. And yeah, I just, that would be kind of cool. You know what I mean? I don't know. That's how I'm thinking about it.
See, for me, if dragon wasn't an option, I would go dinosaur because I would really like a triceratops. But that's just me. And Nosferatu said I would want a pet Mothman. That's
Okay, cool.
adorable.
That is cool. That is cool.
Have you got anything else for us, Salty? Is there anything
You know
else you'd like to
what?
cover?
I think we've had a pretty cool, fun, chill show. I've got,
Cool.
I always send Purple like 20 articles, and I'm like, we're never going to get to them all, so then we'll just do them on the next show. But the next time we meet, I want to cover the best UFO sightings of 2022.
Yes.
I have a
Yes,
list
please.
with photographic evidence, and it is long, ladies. I mean, there's a lot of UFO encounters, and these are all within the United States and Canada. Interestingly, we are seeing a tremendous amount of UFO activity being reported, as we've talked about on this show, on the Pacific coast. Generally, it has been in California, but now, only recently, off the coast of Washington as well as British Columbia are now the same type of light formations we've talked about in previous shows. We will talk about that in the next show that we have.
Nice. We've also got a fantastic article to do with witches as well, which I'm looking forward to covering.
Yeah,
That's the one great thing about talking woo-woo. We never, ever run out of things to talk about.
Yeah, look at this. Abomination AJ says, Bigfoot is my daddy and he wants to protect me. Me, Tenacious D. Quoting song lyrics. That's the way to roll, my friend. Dempsey says, my cat is screaming at my tub. Is that code? Are you
I
talking
was
in
wondering.
code, Dempsey?
I was wondering.
Oh, yeah. Only take one tab of the window pane, Dempsey. Never take two tabs of the window pane.
And a mugwort is a fantastic pick. Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
And also
And
one says Zach says some UFOs in his backyard.
It's true. But the problem is you can't see them because it's under the gravy with the poutine, with the cheese curds and the fries. That's why you can never see UFOs, because they're always somewhere in the poutine. TZ Burton, Seattle is full of freaks and strange beings. But it used to be in a cool way. It used to be in an annoying, it was annoying, but it was cool. Okay. Now it's just one big open toilet full of people that can go out and shoot other people and then get out in 24 hours and do it all over again because George Soros owns all of our DAs. But I digress.
And that's for us. I'm right there with you. I haven't had good poutine in a long time. Last time I did, I was at Epcot, and it was very tasty. So,
we'll get you some good poutine. We'll get you some good. I'll send you some recipes, but you need really good, fresh, squeaky cheese curds.
Yes.
Squeaky cheese curds.
Squeaky. You guys are crazy. And thank you, Daniel says, thank you for the amazing and fun show, Valkyrie and Salty. You are welcome. You guys are amazing, as always. Salty, before we wrap up and let people get on with the rest of the weekend, what have you got coming up?
There's a lot going on in the real life for me. It's nothing serious. I'm not dying of anything. That's not what it is. But I've got a lot going on, and in the coming weeks, I will be talking about it. But yeah. But I want to touch base with Nosferatu, who said he wanted to see my feet before. He's now saying that he likes Hanson and the band Hanson from the '90s, and it was probably his favorite band. Nosferatu, that does explain a fair amount about you. I'm not judging you, as far as you know, but yeah, that's an interesting take. We're going to be doing, I think, Wednesday Woo Woo, schedules allowing. But yeah, I'm looking at doing another radio show production for December. It will not start until then, and we're looking at the Christmas Carol. I've already got the script. I'm putting the music together, so
that's going to be exciting. And guys, if you haven't listened to War of the Worlds yet, we had an incredible cast, and Salty worked so very hard to bring this to life.
I had a great cast. People generously gave of their time and talents, and I am incredibly grateful for that. So hail to you all. No. Wait a minute.
Shots fired.
Nosferatu, I thought we were friends. All right. Hanson is not better than Dawkins. Okay. By the way, I didn't win the Powerball. We talked about it on Wednesday. I bought tickets on Wednesday, didn't win, bought tickets on Friday, didn't win. But again, for those of you who weren't there on Wednesday, if I win the $1.6 billion Powerball, I am flying all of my channel members and Purple channel members to a giant pizza party resort. We're going to have live music. The opening band will be Dawkins. The main act will be Def Leppard. So pray for me to win the Powerball. That's all I'm going to say.
And you guys are right. War of the Worlds was so good. And let me say hey to Brandon, who was also a part of it. Great to see you. And thank you for joining as well. So good to see you. Hope you're having a great evening. But yes, we will be back talking more woo-woo on Wednesday. I might do a chill stream on Monday because we haven't done one for a while, and see if anybody would like to play a little bit of Gartic Phone because we had so much fun. And it'd be nice to kind of cut loose for a little while. After that, well, you guys will find out soon enough what's going on. And I also have the final Cabinet of Curiosities episode to release. I recorded it and the audio was messed up, so I had to
Oh
re-record.
no,
Yep.
that's the worst.
Yep.
That is the worst. But yeah, no, Wednesday Woo Woo. We'll talk about some things, stuff and things, and but no, I love doing this purple. You know that it's great to talk about Woo Woo, and it's wonderful to see our friends, and I do mean that. It's wonderful to see all the names and faces, and to read your comments because you guys in chat, you really do make this show. It's so great to see your takes and get totally take it off track and tangential. It's a great joy. So thank you all for being here today.
It really is. You guys are amazing as always. So, I will say, have a very good evening. A huge thank you, as always, to Salty for bringing such amazing content. Love getting to talk woo woo. And thank you to you guys for joining us because you guys are amazing also. I will leave you guys with the outro and we will see each other very, very soon. Take
Have a
care,
good
everyone.
Saturday.